Alright, this is segment 2, the second and final installation of the week 16 video blog, and also the final installment of my regular video blogs. So, like I mentioned in the last segment, Christianity. Before it was introduced to Korea, Buddhism and Confucianism were kind of the big things for religious worship. So ancestor worship, and then Buddhism, especially in the southeast, that's where Buddhism is really big. Like I mentioned in my blog, that's where Shila was. That was the state religion, and it's still big. Christianity, as I mentioned in the text blog as well, makes up about 30% of the Korean population. And specifically at Suncheon University, there seem to be a lot of student groups that are Christian in orientation. There's a couple of campus outreach ministry type things. At least one of the musical groups is also Christian. My roommate is part of a second musical group that's Christian, so that's at least 2. And originally Catholicism was introduced by the Portuguese, I believe. No, the French. It was the French. But the big sect of Christianity, or the big sects, are all Protestant. And I had the opportunity to go to a Korean Protestant church this weekend. Kind of a rival for American mega churches, because it's in a building that's about 5 stories tall. And they have escalators. They even have a high school built into this place. It's really big. Very surprising that it was that big. And churches are everywhere here. I mean, if you just jump on the train here, especially at night, you'll see like these big neon crosses. I like to call them crossinos, because neon lights, casino, but it's a cross, so crossino. Bad joke. Just near the university, there are 2 Christian churches, so definitely it's a big thing in South Korea. Some people who are more adherent to Christianity, like the deep firm believers, actually don't drink alcohol. Most self-proclaimed Christians here do still drink. Because it's a social thing. It's part of the culture, and that overrides the religion, which, as far as I know, doesn't actually prohibit one from drinking alcohol. But one way to fix the culture is it's actually affecting relations between the 2 Koreas, because at the border area, South Korean government has just allowed permission to a couple of Christian groups to light up these big towers that are in the shape of Christmas trees, and they have a big cross at the top. And the North is complaining that you can see those inside of North Korea, and then it's like Southern propaganda and psychological warfare against their people. Apparently South Korea's done this before too, but after 2003, I think, they stopped doing it for a bit. But now that relations have gone a bit bad again after the whole Chonan incident, the ship that the North Koreans probably did sink. In fact, they're absolutely certain that they did sink it, but North Korea won't say. Anyway, it's like they're just doing it to kind of annoy North Korea. I don't know. Really, North Korea ought to probably focus on improving its daily life for the people, rather than complaining about towers at the border. But there's always a weird stuff going on between the 2 Koreas. And it's also kind of funny, because North Korea, before the separation, was the largest center for Christianity on the peninsula. Pyongyang was a center for Catholicism. So, very odd. Very, very odd. One other thing of note, if you are Christian, is that if you come here, you're pretty much welcome at any church. Being Catholic myself, I've been to a few services here, And even though like the nuns and the priest didn't seem to speak English much, they were very welcoming. One of the nuns offered to provide with assistance of one of the parishioners an English language guide to what was going on in Mass, which they didn't have to do because I'm going back home in a couple months from that, and they've never seen me before. But they're very welcoming. I heard another story about one that was near the school that some of my fellow internationals went there, and they were welcomed with open arms. But they were also told, "Oh, you should come to the 10:30 service next week because we have food afterwards. We want you to eat with us." So, yeah. I don't know if the Christianity specifically makes people more welcoming or more willing to help others in need, or if I think that's maybe more of just a general Korean thing. But whatever the case, it's like a lot of Korean people have been so helpful when I needed assistance. Like when I was having trouble with the bus, there was just somebody, random person at the bus stop. I was trying to get back to Suwon station, and they said, "Oh, do you need help?" And I said, "Yeah, I need to go to our Suwon station. 수원역에 가고 싶은데 ... which means I want to go to Suwon station, but ... And then so she pointed out the bus that would take me there. Just didn't have to do it, but she did. My roommate has been incredibly helpful this entire semester. Just with all sorts of things, like helping me get a ticket to the soccer game, being kind of a little bit of a tour guide during a couple outings. I'm considering getting my hair cut to look a little bit more professional before I leave, and he said he'd help me go to the hair shop to explain to them what I want done, because the only picture I have is not very good. He's also going to be helping me get a taxi to get down to the station when I'm ready to leave. He's like the epitome of Korean willingness to help others. Even, of course, we're more like friends now than just, random person, but still. It's very much appreciated. That's something I'll kind of miss about Korea, is because a lot of people are just really, really helpful and really polite. I'll be talking more about that next week, because next week's video blog will be uploaded from the hotel I'm staying in the night before I fly out. That's the plan anyway. And it'll be kind of reflecting on my time in Korea. And, just final observations and ideas. So I will see you next week. Thanks for watching. Be sure to send those comments in if you haven't already. And I will see you again next week via video. And I'll be back in Oregon in about 13 days. 안녕히 계세요.